I changed it to...
Howdy, folks. Welcome back or welcome aboard. You are listening to the Doc Owen Show. I am where we do our dead level best on a weekly basis to deliver truth to youth. I am joined in the Hilltop Studios by...
I'm a Surefire.
And,
Uncle Bocce.
Uncle Debachi, full house, rock and roll. Good show for you tonight. We're going to talk current affairs, and we're going to connect dots that you don't even know are dots.
Yeah.
We're going to, it is all over the map. So, but first, we are going to tell you all about our social media presence as Doc Owen Show, DOCOWENSHOW, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, draw the list out there. And Uncle Bocce just did his perfunctory mouse bounce.
Oh, no.
It's all good. So, and then we have a wonderful blog that is really looking good and growing. Includes our store. It's at Doc Owen Show, spelled the same way, .com, DocOwenShow.com. We would love it if you'd stop by out there, take a look at the store, give us some recommendations on goods or products we should be carrying.
Awesome.
Okay.
I just posted an article out there today.
You did?
For millennials. Go look at it, guys.
What is it, 2 paragraphs?
No, it's
No, that wasn't a slam at you. That was a slam at their attention span.
Oh, I gotcha.
Anything beyond 2 paragraphs, you need to post into multiple articles on different days. Yeah, we might talk a little bit about that, too. Since that's the target audience of our show. So, good job on the articles. Thank you.
Yeah.
Well done. Well done, lad. What else will you tell them? You got free apps for both the iPhone and Android device. If you go to your appropriate store, you are welcome to download at no charge your Doc Owen Show app, where you can listen to podcasts at your leisure and go all the way back into the historical archives. Right? What else? What am I missing, Alma? That's it? Well, if I think of it, I'll come up with it later.
Yeah.
So,
I think you got it.
I pretty much got it. After those, self-announcements, we always start the show, the meat of the show, in a very traditional manner to set the tone. Ms. Surefire gives us an inspirational quote. Uncle Bocce tells us something about this day in history or close to it. And I wind up with a leadership quote or leadership something. So, Ms. Surefire, take it away.
And tonight's quote comes from, here again, another website I found some quotes on. And this one's called inspirationalquotes.info.
Wow.
That was a new one.
They've been listening to the show. They put that out for you.
Yeah.
Good. I like it.
Yep. And tonight's quote comes from a lady by the name of Mary Shelley.
Okay.
She was an English novelist, and she was noted for writing the story of Frankenstein.
Oh, my goodness.
Yep.
A woman wrote that, huh?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Pretty creative.
Yeah.
Yep.
Hope it wasn't her former boyfriend.
You never know.
You never know.
You never know.
We won't know, will we? Okay. Go for it.
And her quote is, "Nothing contributes so much to tranquilize the mind as a steady purpose, a point on which the soul may fix its intellectual eye." Focus. is what she's
Focus.
saying.
Yeah, focus. Stay
Focus.
focused.
Good.
An
Very creative
intellectual.
way of saying focus.
Yeah, say it again.
Nothing contributes so much to tranquilize the mind as a steady purpose,
Yeah,
a
okay.
point on which the soul may fix its intellectual eye.
I like it.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay.
It's pretty good.
It is good.
Fits in with a lot of other things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything happened on May the 16th?
Yes.
Okay.
But it was in 1868.
Okay. Well,
It was after the Civil War. Andrew Johnson was the president.
mm-hmm.
And Andrew Johnson, he was impeached, or attempted to be impeached, because of his high crimes and misdemeanors revolving around Reconstruction.
Okay.
Yeah, because he didn't like the ideas of Lincoln Reconstruction, so he fought against them, and so they applied 11 articles of impeachment, but he did not get impeached. The Senate acquitted him.
So the House applied them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sound familiar?
Yep.
But did you die? So that was it?
Yeah.
This day they acquitted him? Is this the day they acquitted him or impeached him?
Well, they didn't. The Senate trial lasted until May 26th.
Okay, but it started on the 16th.
But it started,
okay. Interesting.
Yep.
Okie doke. We seem to be thinking in the same time frame, which I'm going to read something that I know that the three of us know. I'm not sure that the audience knows exactly where it came from or what it's about, but I think it is appropriate. It is from Abraham Lincoln.
Good man.
1863.
Mm-hmm.
77 years ago, our fathers brought forth on this continent a new nation, conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal, that this nation, under God, shall have a new birth of freedom, and that government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from earth. That was it.
That was awesome.
Very appropriate to what's going on today and a lot of the dots that we're going to connect.
Absolutely.
And in case you don't know, a score is 20 years.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I knew
So
that, but
80. Well, I know that we know that.
Yeah, but our audience may not.
They don't hear the term score
No.
in reference to numbers of years very often. That was Lincoln's Gettysburg Address, and it, needless to say, is quite famous.
Oh, sure.
And very provocative, and it applies very closely to what we're seeing today.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll talk about that later on.
Okay.
Okay. So you want to start off the final discussion and wrap up into, or you want to do a recap first of how far we got into the Electoral College last time?
I think I kind of do that with these bullets. Yeah,
all right.
I'm just going to go into them, and if you have questions.
If you missed the first part of this conversation, it is last week's show, which is now this week's podcast.
Yes.
So it's out there, but you might want to go catch up. But we're going to start, towards the end of it.
Yeah.
Okay, go for it.
Okay. All right. Just a couple points I want to make is, first of all, we talked last week about it's electors, not voters, who pick the presidents.
Correct.
That was the whole idea of the Electoral College. We have the Electoral College because the founders were concerned, and a lot of in the Constitutional Convention, a lot of people from several of the small states were very concerned about how we chose our president. Keeping it as a popular vote and a popular vote only would have disenfranchised the smaller states from even having any consideration as to whom the president would be.
Right.
Because it would be the major population centers. Then it was like New York and Virginia, maybe Massachusetts. And they were the ones who would decide who the president of the whole 13 states would be.
Right.
And so they had a big fight about that, and they came up with the compromise, the Electoral College.
Right.
Which kind of like balanced giving states more power to select who the president was, and also still having a popular vote upon which each state would select their electors. So whoever wins in a specific state, whoever wins the popular vote.
Right.
So the popular vote is there. It still counts.
Absolutely it does.
Absolutely it counts. So depending upon who wins within the state, that's who the electors are committed to vote for.
Right. And to put it in perspective, it's not just about balancing to less populous states. Mm-hmm. It's about balancing the popular vote within a state so that a or multiple major metropolitan areas mm-hmm. don't control the state.
Right.
Because, for instance, in Texas, in the last presidential election, the major metropolitan areas voted Democrat. Right. I mean, that's the way it works. But because the Democrats long ago decided that was how they were going to get control, was to take over the big cities, and it makes it easier for them to distribute all their free stuff, and But there are an awful lot of people in the state of Texas who don't live in a big city and don't vote Democrat.
Correct.
So if their votes are to be counted and to be heard, the Electoral College is the way it works. And as it turned out, Texas went Republican because more people outside of the major metropolitan areas mm-hmm. voted Republican than the ones within the big cities.
That's correct.
Right?
That's correct.
And I'm using Texas because that's where we are.
Yeah.
But there are others that are the same way.
Yeah, exactly.
So and that's it, so it works exactly as it is intended. Mm-hmm. It does not disenfranchise the popular vote.
That's right.
It, as a matter of fact, it equalizes it.
Exactly.
Okay, go ahead.
Parity is the word that they use. Now, Congress has tried four ways to change or scrap the Electoral College. Let me see here. I'll give you a couple of examples, but I think I might have gone over this last week. But, they tried to change it. They wanted it to be a lottery. That was one attempt in 1846. They wanted to choose the president by lottery. Yeah. Then they did a try in 1808 to have an executive committee.
Yeah, sure.
Pick who the president was.
Yeah, it always works.
Okay. And they also tried to just put the direct popular vote, which now is a movement, but it seems to be dying. I guess we're too far away from the election and not close enough to the next election. About just depending strictly on the direct popular vote.
Well, those who would support the direct popular vote are completely preoccupied with anti-Trump activities.
Well, true.
They can't get anything together but anti-Trump.
You're absolutely right. Absolutely right. Okay, so the next thing I wanted to mention, there's been a lot of calls, of course, to abolish. There's 4 questions for those who oppose the Electoral College, and these are thought questions, so think about them. Number 1, if you support direct democracy of a popular vote system, remember that's what democracy is, rule of the majority, do you also reject the ideas of republicanism as our form of government? So you got to think about that. Think about what is our government. It's a republic. Okay.
Well, you may have to do the next, bless you. You may have to do the next session on why.
Okay.
What exactly is a republic? Because I guarantee you, our youthful audience doesn't have a clue.
No, because it's not taught.
They're not taught that.
They're not taught.
It's not your fault, folks.
Okay. Also, if you reject the notion of disproportionate representation, do you reject the institution of the U.S. Senate?
Okay.
Because the concept that they have the Senate for was to kind of like equalize again the idea of the states having influence on our federal government.
Well, I not just influence.
Yeah.
Oversight.
And oversight and all of that goes with it. Absolutely.
Right.
But then also parity. Okay, parity between the states was a key to ratification. It was hotly contested.
Sure.
By those smaller states.
Well,
wait a minute.
That's right. Right. Yeah, I don't blame
you. Does parity not matter anymore now? I mean, does it matter? Do you people think about it? Is a popular vote system a cure for the disease?
Well,
think about that too. Who would have elected Hillary Clinton? California, Illinois, and New York, and maybe a couple other population centers.
I'm not so sure about that question, Bocce.
Okay.
To me, it's a solution looking for a disease.
Excellent. I like that.
There is no disease. I mean, it's a solution looking for a problem.
You're absolutely right. Very, very astute there, sir.
Okay.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, no fool.
And of course, the abolishing Electoral College would completely wipe out the power of most of the states.
Yep. Yeah, it would turn the United States over to let's just say the top 10 communities, the top 10 cities in the country,
and that's democracy. They say majority of the.
If you question the wisdom of that, go look at how well the top 10 cities in the country are doing.
Exactly, they're not doing very well.
Not at all.
Okay, and my final point is getting rid of the Electoral College,
ours included,
would mean a tyrannical rule of the majority.
Yep.
And that was the big issue. The founders did not want our country to become ruled by a tyrant. And in over 200 years, we really haven't had any tyrants, unless you want to, Well, there are a couple that would be tyrants, but
luckily,
but fortunately, our country survives, and it's surviving as a republic.
But it survives because it's a republic.
That's right.
And even if we make the mistake of electing a tyrant, we know at a maximum we have to hunker down and press through for 8 years, and then we can try to unwind it and start over again, which is exactly what we're doing right now.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it fits right in.
We just started. It's going to dive into the rest of the show. Is that it?
Yeah, that's my final point.
Okay,
so we can
I think you did great. I mean, I think we need that one lesson next week
about a republic. Okay,
and what exactly that means and why we pledge allegiance to it every time we pledge allegiance to the flag
and the republic for which it stands.
Right. To me, that's the operative phrase in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Yes, it is. And Trump, in his speech today, he missed that.
What do you mean?
He missed that concept. He said because he mentioned something about pledging allegiance to the American flag.
Right.
But he didn't attack on and the republic for which it stands.
Well,
but it was a speech. So
Trump speaks in shorthand.
Yeah.
And speaking of that. Speaking of Trump speaking,
yes,
I want to kick off the rest of the show with a question or actually kind of an admonition for the audience. if you go back to when Trump was elected, or go back to our shows during that time frame, over 2 years ago, right? When we were going through the election, actually, you can go all the way back to I guarantee you, back to our shows during the debates for the Republican candidacy before he ever became the candidate.
Right.
And time and time and time again, people would chastise or make fun of President Trump, Donald Trump, for saying things that he had no proof. You know, he was always saying, well, they're doing this. They're spying on me. They're doing this. They're cheating at the voting box. He was making accusations, right?
Right.
Sooner or later, folks, if you're one of those people, sooner or later, you're going to have to come to grips with one simple fact. This show has been bringing it up for years, ever since Trump came on the scene. He doesn't say anything for which he doesn't have proof or knowledge.
Right. He just may not share it at that point in time, right?
But if you're still in the mode of questioning what he's saying, then I feel sorry for you.
Exactly. Exactly.
But, and the point is, and that's what QAnon is all about. That's what the QAnon movement is all about, is dispersing the truth that Trump has been living off of for years. He's had this background knowledge for a long, long time.
Oh, yeah, he has. It's been quite a few years.
And ask yourself this, whether you believe it or not, he's a fairly successful businessman. You don't get to be that successful without having background knowledge.
That's correct.
You don't just walk into the room and start a negotiation over several $1 billion and not know what size shoe the guy has on that you're dealing with. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, it ain't a wing and a prayer sort of a environment that he's grown up in. He's grown up in having plenty of resources to provide him with knowledge. So, this month has been, once the Mueller investigation was made public, which it is. So don't believe all that crap that the Democrats are putting out that Barr is holding things back, because he's not.
Right.
It's just a dog and pony show for the Democrats, because they got nothing else to rely on.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. It really is.
I feel sorry for it.
Yeah, I know. I mean,
they
really believe that stuff, but behind that belief is an ultimate agenda. But
they don't believe any of what they're saying.
Nope.
But they do believe in their agenda. So whatever it takes to get to their agenda, they will say.
That's it.
Right?
Exactly.
And their agenda is to get rid of Trump.
It's even more sinister than that.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, I mean, you go beyond that. But yeah, immediately that's what they want to do.
So the Q community has told us for quite some time now to trust the plan, to stick to the plan, and that things would kick in once the Mueller report was out of the way. In other words, there's no holds on President Trump anymore.
Right.
He's been exonerated, cleared of obstruction, and cleared of collusion.
Correct.
End of discussion. Like it or not, read it and weep. Done deal. So we were told that as soon as that was done, that the worm would turn, as we say, and Trump and company would go on the attack. Right? And the first part of the attack was a thing called the declass that we were all waiting on, declassification of certain documents that become evidence and proof, right? And in case you're not aware, Julian Assange, the president of WikiLeaks, who was pulled out of Ecuadorian embassy and is awaiting in England. He's still in England awaiting extradition to the United States. the United States government went in and picked up all of his records, his computers, his files, everything, directly.
Good.
Exactly. And we were told by Q months ago that chain of custody mattered, that we have the facts, but the chain of custody matters. So nothing has come between the United States government and those records. In other words, the chain of custody is absolute. No one can have tampered with them. They are what they are, and we got them directly from the source. Interesting.
Yeah, it is.
Little bitty dots like that you got to pay attention to.
Yeah.
Tell you another little dot a lot of people don't know, and I think I remember putting it on the radio. I certainly remember thinking about it. Way back in the day, 20 years ago, there was a prosecutor with the Department of Justice who was called in to question the dealings of the FBI director in charge of the Boston office. It seems there was a guy in Boston by the name of Whitey Bulger. And Whitey was...
I've heard of that name.
Whitey was a member of the mafia. And there was no question about it, and everybody knew it. Right? But Whitey was also an informant for the FBI. Well, there were 4 people who were going to come forward and rat on Whitey as being an informant, right? So the FBI people put these 4 guys in jail, locked them away, and kept them there so that they could not expose the relationship between the mafia and the FBI, who were working to make a unified front in the Boston area as to who controlled the crime. And it was a combination of the mobsters and the FBI guys. They were just as dirty as they could be, right? And there was a prosecutor appointed to investigate the head of the FBI in Boston and Whitey Bulger. And you can go back and Google some of this stuff, and it's a real interesting story. But the reason I'm telling you about this is the prosecutor's name was Durham. The same prosecutor that just got appointed to investigate the investigators of the Russian hoax. Would you care to make a guess who the head of the Boston office of the FBI was at the time? Robert Mueller. This investigator missed him last time. Mueller snaked his way out of it. They didn't have enough evidence that the guy didn't get him. Back on the case.
Yeah.
And he wants him.
Yeah.
You got to, and that was 20 to 25 years ago.
Yeah. Amazing.
As our friend Ms. Surefire says, karma. You tell him.
The whole thing?
I don't know whether. Yeah, go ahead.
Karma is a bitch.
There you go.
There you go.
That's
very well said.
That's one of her favorites. Yeah, she had a lot of practice.
Yeah.
So think about when you're looking at what's going on in the world, folks. Back away from it. Do some research, or as my friends in the Q movement say, rely on your own discernment. Do your own homework. Figure out who's on what base, and you'll start seeing the same names popping up for the last 20 to 25 to 30 years.
Yeah.
All of these cats that are up at the top that are now making news, the Rosensteins and the Muellers and the Comey and the Clapper,
Brennan.
They go back and Clinton, they go back forever. They've been in this crime syndicate pulling off stuff for their entire careers. And so, but what we've seen was all a front. It was all a maneuvering being done by deep state operatives to put these people, these leaders of their movement, in the right places. Trump foiled it all. I mean, you got to understand. That's the reason the Electoral College is so important.
Yes.
The reason you got to understand that if Trump had not won, we would not know any of this, and we'd all be learning Chinese and Russian right now.
Yeah. Just one point. It's a question, really. The deep state really didn't just come about in the Obama administration.
Oh, hell no.
That was there a long time.
We've had it on the air.
Yeah.
Who was the first person to warn us about it? Dwight David Eisenhower.
Yep, that's right. That's right.
And who was the first? And so now there's pictures out there that show the Kennedy assassination, and that was the beginning of the plan. The Q plan was because there were people in this country in very high positions that knew that was an inside job. But they whitewashed it, needless to say. It was the Russians, of course.
Yeah.
But it was an inside job. And there were people who knew it was an inside job, and then there was people like me that's gut instinct knew it was an inside job. Mm-hmm. I've been saying it since November of 1963.
Yeah.
It had to be. If you just think, logic tells you it had to be.
Yeah.
And the reason for it was JFK Sr. was going to try to do what Trump is doing. Straighten this mess out. But he didn't. He just he had too much faith. Mm-hmm. And not enough guile and, I mean, exactly. Trump's borderline crooked. I get it. I mean, you know what I'm saying? He thinks different. Kennedy was a man of high religion and high faith that, it'll be okay. Because he grew up that way. He grew up in fantasy land.
Yeah.
Nothing ever went against him. Trump grew up a little closer to the streets.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not totally on the streets. They had plenty of money. But the business his father was in and the people they associated with, and when you're building skyscrapers in New York City, you want to run into a rough crowd every once in a while.
Yes, you are.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So he has a little different view, just a little different thought process than JFK did. Yeah. And that's what we're seeing play out. And the point of this is that we've been on the attack since the Mueller report came out. We've been on the attack, and if you'll think about it, the Democrats are going crazy. They've created a circular firing squad where all of them are guilty.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody you see out there now that's raising Cain and pointing fingers at each other.
Fingers, they are.
Comey and Brennan and Clapper and Obama and Loretta Lynch and Peter Strzok and Lisa Page and Bruce Orr and Millie Orr and you didn't know I knew all those names.
No, I didn't. I was thinking you. Wow.
And I'm just getting started. I know all of them because they're all pointing fingers at each other. No, I didn't do it. I did it because she told me to do it. No, I didn't tell him to do it. I told the other guy to do it. Well, he didn't do it, but she did.
Yep.
It's circular firing squad. They're all guilty.
Yes, they are.
I'm reminded of something my mother taught me when I was a little bitty boy. One of her favorite phrases, and I know you know it, and I know you know it too. Oh, what a tangled web we weave. When at first we practice to deceive.
There you go.
Yep.
Yeah. Yes.
Well, the three of us learned that lesson.
Yeah.
The heads of our former government did not. They thought they were above it.
That's right.
And I guarantee you, if any of their mothers are still alive, they're probably shaking their fingers at them and going, told you.
Yep.
Tried to tell you. And by the way, you know who, when that Durham was after
Whitey?
No, was after Mueller because of the Whitey Bulger affair?
Yeah.
You know who was protecting... Who was protecting Mueller?
No.
Comey.
Was he really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Mueller and Comey grew up. Is it Mueller and Comey? And I think the other guy that's on the hot seat now for dealing with Iran, long face, ugly, Heinz ketchup.
Kerry?
Oh, gee whiz.
Kerry, Mueller, and Comey all played lacrosse together.
Obviously, they lost then, too.
In this real high-dollar private high school that they went to. They're just a bunch of thieves, folks.
They are.
And, they're prancing around like it's all us. And that's why the Democrats are raising Cain, trying to
cover it
up with impeachment. And it's just a smokescreen. Folks, please, if you're young and listening to the show, God bless you. Thank you. Come back, tell a friend. But tell your friends it's over.
Yeah.
I mean, it's over. You don't have to vote Republican. I'm not expecting you to turn the tide that fast. But please, open your eyes, open your head to learn something besides the mush that's been put in there your entire life. Very little, with few exceptions, very little of what you know is true. Think about that.
Mm-hmm.
If it's been going on since JFK or before, very little of what our young people know is true.
That's right.
Can you imagine how that might feel? If you're 30-something, married, child or two, can you imagine how that might feel? Mm-hmm. It's going to be tough. It's going to be very, very tough.
Yep.
Yeah. And it's up to us. It's up to our generation to help them work through it.
Absolutely.
But help them work through it quickly.
Yep.
Because the day will come when they're in charge. And if they're in charge and it's not built on a foundation of a democratic republic and not built on a foundation of absolute knowledge, the 2 and 2 is always 4. It's never 22. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, there's just some absolute facts out there that they're going to have to come to grips with.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's going to be very much contrary to what they think, what they think they know. And you know how the three of us were when we were growing up. When we knew it, we knew it. And I didn't give a damn what my father said. I was smarter. His ideas were old and dated, and they don't work anymore, Dad. My bad.
Right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Sometimes I was right, but most of the time I was wrong.
Yeah.
And the same thing may be true today.
Yep.
Because if what they're trying to do is, it's kind of like derivatives in the financial business. Brought us down. Why? Because it's bogus. It's taking a bad idea and making 8 bad ideas out of it. You know what I'm saying? You take a bad loan and you create a derivative out of it, which if you don't know mathematics, in calculus, it's like, you can divide it into halves and then quarters and then eighths and then, blah, 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 right? So they would take a bad loan and put it in what they call tranches or whatever it was. They changed the name to protect the innocent and made that the seed for 8 new loans, all of which are bad. And they
created a bubble.
Well, yeah. And they wonder why we had a financial crisis.
Yep.
And do you know what was put together to do that with? Do you know what was created to create that housing bubble? 2-letter word. Fannie Mae.
Oh. Yeah.
A government
Yep.
home loan business built on bad debt because nobody else would take it, so the banks gave it to the government. Thank you. See ya. Actually, what they said was, here, you take these, we're going to go do it again. But I'm off topic. you got, but it's all tied together.
Yeah.
It's all part of not doing things with integrity. Always, everything you do, cutting a corner. Mm-hmm. Everything. That's what bad politicians do. Mm-hmm. Not good ones.
Yeah.
Bad politicians, there is a distinction. There are a few good ones. They're coming out of the woodwork. They don't cut corners. If they make a mistake, I made a mistake. They own up. Mm-hmm. The other guys are constantly trying to find, you've got friends like that.
Yep.
We all have friends like that. Mm-hmm. Everybody's trying to get the angle instead of doing it straight up.
Exactly.
And our young audience has. Everybody's got an angle.
Mm-hmm.
That ain't the way it works. That's not what. And what bothers me about it is, what are we going to do? 10 years, 20 years from now, these kids are going to be running for office. And they're going to be trying to govern things without facts in their head as to what went on in the past. I don't see that as being healthy.
No, it's not.
No?
It's not. No.
What do we do about it? How much time we got?
About 13, 14 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah, but but the way things are starting to go out with this Q stuff, and with all this stuff starting to come out, and you see, like you said before, you see the craziness of the not just the Democrats, but the progressives who are in government. They're all going nuts. They're all scared to death.
Yep.
They're pulling at straws. Free this, free that. And all this crazy stuff that they're coming with, because they have no idea what this country is all about. They have no freaking idea that.
Well, no, they don't, and they have no backbone. They can't win in the marketplace of ideas without giving it away.
That absolutely.
And it's kind of like, there's just some basic facts that tend to get overlooked. Mm-hmm. And that is that government doesn't create anything.
That's correct.
That's not true. I take that back.
Oh.
Government doesn't create anything good.
Right.
It creates problems.
Let's make the failed postal service into a bank for people run by the government.
Well, that's George Carlin's idea. That's nothing.
Wow.
Well, did he spoke of that?
He joked about it.
Yeah. Okay, well, now there are people who are actually proposing it. Was it AOC or somebody? One of them, Bernie.
I think it was a combination of Bernie and AOC got together on that plan.
Yeah, probably.
If I remember reading correctly. Yep.
Amazing.
Well,
they've done so well with everything else they got their hands on.
No different from Fannie Mae.
Case in point.
Where else are you going to hide your crooked money?
Yeah.
And then have it get washed away by the inevitable problem.
Yeah.
I had a solution for the post office back when I was 12.
Oh, my goodness.
It was absolutely brilliant. 62. I've still got the letter and file somewhere that I got returned from the Postmaster General of the United States. Yep. I suggested, my dad was a traveling shoe salesman. Okay?
Right.
My daddy got paid a commission. If he sold $100 worth of shoes, he made $5. Okay? So, he made 5% on his sales is exactly what he made. So $100 would have been $5, right? So that's how we made money. That's how I grew up. I did it the first 10 years of my life. You do things and you get paid a commission on what you do, and that's all there is to it.
Exactly.
So I suggested that the United States Post Office compensation and budget be tied to the United States representative from that district. That whoever was the U.S. representative from that district, their compensation would be tied to the profitability of the post office in their area. So if you're the U.S. rep, U.S. District 23, and your post office ain't making any money, you don't get paid.
There you go.
Thank you for your service.
Yeah, bye.
Seemed like a perfectly legitimate idea to me.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't like it. They thanked me for my input. But, due to what their demands were, I've forgotten exactly what he said, but basically, because we're the United States government, we don't have to make money, is what he told me. Mm-hmm. And I'm 12 years old going,
yeah, right.
I certainly think you should. Of course, that was back in the day when I attacked the phone company. I mean, I was always up in somebody's face.
You still are.
That seems really
and every time my father went downtown, he'd have to say, no, that was Junior that wrote that letter, not me. and Junior was like 12, 13, 14 years old.
Wow.
Whatever. It was fun. And I saved most of that, too,
Good for you.
Actually, my mom saved it, and I got it. So.
Good.
All right. So the challenge is straightening it out. I would urge you, please, do your homework. Rely on your own discernment. Dig in. Google it. Take a few minutes just to kind of amuse yourself. And look at some of the alternate channels and alternate information that's out there. You can do it on your phone. You can do it, when you're waiting on the bus or your buddy to pick you up, and you can ride double on his bicycle to school. I don't know what's going on. But the point is the information is out there, and it is actually very entertaining. In the world today, recent history, the past 25 to 40 years at the most, no, more than that, 45 to 60 years, has been a twist and a turn.
Mm-hmm.
And if you didn't know how to read between the lines of a newspaper back in the 60s, then you were going to go around not knowing much of reality at all.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's when they started preaching an alternate reality.
Yep.
And you had to learn to look between the lines was what I was taught. Luckily.
Fortunate for you, yeah.
So the youth of today, our audience, needs to learn to do the same thing.
Yes, they do. And there's evidence that they are.
Like?
Read that article that I put out there.
Okay.
Okay? Yeah. It makes a good argument that disputes that millennials are all progressives and they're only going to vote Democrat. We're
trained in this household not to make honest statements.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
Right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
But I would submit to you that there's a very outspoken, loudmouth, probably more than 50% sector who are on the wrong side of history.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I won't dispute that.
And I would submit to you at the same time, it's because they don't know the facts.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Now, depending on where they are in that age category, where they are in that, they're either we can still give them some facts that can pierce the armor.
Mm-hmm.
If they're at the top end of the spectrum, I don't know whether we can get through that armor or not. It's going to take some very hard life lessons to get through that armor that holds folks like the three of us at a distance.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want to hear it. I mean, I got relatives that are in that category.
Yeah. Yeah.
We all do.
Okay.
Yeah.
They
Yes, we all do.
They can't hear it. They can't take it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, And we got time to go down it? What, we got 3
We
minutes?
got about 4 to 5 minutes.
What do we do about it? We all got relatives. We said, what do we do about it? What do we tell our audience to do about it? Do you just not bring it up in the social environment? Or do you keep banging on the door?
I keep banging on the door. You've got to. You've got to.
Mm-hmm. That's the only
Well, I
thing
get in
they're
trouble.
doing.
I get in trouble with my family.
Yep.
My immediate family.
Yep.
A lot of times because of the positions that I take.
Well, you get in trouble with me because of some of the positions. No, I'm just kidding.
Goodness.
Yeah, like I had a big doing with one of my son-in-laws over the topic of race.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh man, he's deep. He's deep into it, but that's good because he's a pastor and he tends to want to take care of the unfortunate people, and that's what he does.
Right.
That's what he does. So he's real emotionally connected. Plus, he's Mexican, so he's very emotionally sensitive to the idea that people are put down because of the color of their skin. I think that's waning. I don't think that's as true as it used to be.
I think it's always going to be a fact.
I remember I had a professor in my junior college, and she was just shooting from the hip, and she says, it'll always exist.
Yeah.
Racism.
It will.
Workplace, personal, whatever, life. And just...
Yeah, I will tell you this. It's kind of like my mother taught me about the language that you use.
Yeah.
The better educated you are, the less likely you are to let racism interfere with your decision.
Absolutely.
It's about education, and that's what Mother taught me. Well-educated, I used to hear when I was growing up, well-educated people don't talk like that.
Wow.
I said, well, you're right, Mom, but I wasn't talking to an educated son of a bitch to begin with.
Yeah, that's kind of hard. I see what she's saying because I grew up in a bubble.
Yep, I know you
So
did.
I get what she's saying,
Yep.
but unfortunately, sometimes we have to step outside that
You
bubble.
got to speak at their level.
And I had a CEO of a place where I used to work at, and he used to be real visual, and he'd pretend like he was opening up a door. And he says, "You see that? Tack just walked outside that door." And then the real discussion
and boom,
started.
here we go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's a time and a place for everything. I'm convinced of
Under
that
the
as
sun.
well.
Under the sun.
But we gotta learn how to reach the group that's coming up. Not going to call them just the group that's coming up.
Just the group. Yeah.
And they may be 18 years old. They may be 45 years old.
Yeah. But
they're still the group that's coming up, and that's going to be taking over the reins.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's no absolute values, but we've got the republic, the United States of America, as a democratic republic, is the foremost country in the world,
mm-hmm.
and it must stay that way. And the only way to keep it that way is through education, through hey, rah, rah, make America great again, all those sorts of slogans and campaigns. But really the way to do it is through education and being honest with ourselves and with each other. It's going to be the next, I got a feeling, 6 to 8 to 10 years are going to be very challenging for all of us.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And challenging on a number of fronts.
Mm-hmm.
So as Alma started the show, we got to maintain our focus. We've got to maintain our intellectual focus of what got us here, and that's what will bring us through it and bring us out on the other side. Still in control.
Yep.
And I hope we don't bomb Iran.
I hope not.
That'll be over by the time we have another show next week.
Yeah, probably.
Well, this was fun. I'm sorry we didn't have anything to talk about.
Yeah.
I hope there wasn't too... Front row. Time to go. You have been listening to the Doc Owen Show. Thank you so much for having us. We really appreciate it. Now go out there this week and take care, pay attention, and God bless.
Bye-bye, folks. God bless.